Here we are when I'm not podcasting. Look at this. Isn't it amazing? I got my green screen back. I got the backdrop of Palm Beach County or West Palm Beach in downtown where I live. And I got it all set up. The lights look good. Everything's all nice and set up. So I decided to go and put together the video series once again. Get back to what I was doing before, just because I had to set up this video screen for some of the other content that I do, namely on the network, one of the full-time commitments I work on, Cannabis Radio, and the program Cannabis Radio Live. So now when I do that, I can go and set things up. And by the way, I want to show you the background I have for that show. Do I have it on here? No, I don't have that one particular one, but I have the other one I have that I use. And this is the other one I use, but we'll get back to this. The other one is Cannabis Radio Live. It looks like that. And then I have the logo in the background, but either which way, I'll show you that later. Meantime, let's go into the actual subject at hand. Uber, which I talk about all the time on the program. Well, now it's time to go and talk about a few things that are coming up. There's some criticism, some controversy, and some new features that are coming into Uber that you should all know about. So we're going to go into that right now. And let me show you what we're talking about when it comes to Uber and some of the things that are happening these days. Starting off with a story from Jacobin.com or Jacobin Mag, talking about gig companies they're disguising exploitation as social justice. Akil Vix puts the story out here. Look, they're talking about social justice and a little bit of posturing that's being done by the likes of Uber, Instacart, Lyft, all those, and trying to bring that point across. Okay, so they're saying that California, Massachusetts companies like Uber and Lyft are promoting legislation misclassifying gig workers and convincing some people that their pursuit of cheap labor is actually a crusade for equality. Okay, well, the equality part and trying to make Uber drivers full-time contracted employees, I don't want that. I like the freelance point. I know they talk about Prop 22 and how they wanted to make it so that benefits are being paid out to workers. Well, that's not what I wanted this job in the first place. And I've talked about it extensively on When I'm Not Podcasting. I'm not going to go into that even further, just saying that's what they've been talking about for a long time. Now, the companies have claimed benevolence. And they mentioned how the labor experts, activists, and organizers collectively warned the public that Prop 22 in California, which would have made it that the jobs would be made as full-time employees with benefits, would absolutely hurt Uber and Lyft and all, because they wouldn't keep the kind of people on board, and they would try to force people on schedules. That's not going to happen. So anyway, it was made for people to vote on, and they said that there were 40% of people that were expressing concern about workers' interests voted yes on Prop 22. The ballot measure was later ruled unconstitutional by a judge, and it changed the game for gig companies, providing a blueprint on how to cut down on labor costs and maximize profits at workers' expense. So then why even do it for? These big corporations, they find a way to find a loophole to get around it, and now you're screwed. And you hurt the workers as a result. It's like you're trying to work as a union for them when we didn't ask for you as a union. Some people might have, but I'm not looking for that. Now, in the story, they go on to talk about how the gig companies have maintained the people use their apps for flexibility, not the wages, and the flexibility is not available to full employees. But they're saying that what they're trying to sell is not a guarantee for drivers, nor is it definitionally exclusive of traditional employment. It's a false choice, meant to obscure the real reason why this issue is so important to rideshare and app delivery companies. A precarious workforce of individual independent contractors competing for jobs, legally barred from collectively bargaining for bigger pay, and working conditions means cheap labor. But the point is, we want the freedom to work when we want to work. And we can work as much as we want to. Why do I want to go and work for another corporation? That's might give me better benefits, but it's going to control me, control what I want to do, control my hours, control my level of work. I want to be my own boss. And when you're your own boss, especially if you're a small business entrepreneur, then you're paying your own taxes. You're paying your own health care bills. I'm doing that now anyway. It doesn't make a difference. So why is everybody so caught up on that? So there's that part they talk about, plus the other part about social justice. Because their business model fundamentally relies on the precarity of workers. It's cynical, they say, that Lyft and Uber drivers have made it flexibility a social justice issue. And then they have a few prominent minority political voices on their side. Valerie Jarrett, former Barack Obama advisor, sits on the board of Lyft. And she described the founders of Lyft as shrewd businessmen. And she also said that diversity is a strength. They believe in social conscience and a commitment to our cities. And then there are others that continue to go along with the same way, where there was a support of Prop 22 by a number of NAACP chapters, the Black Chamber of Commerce, Black Lives Matter Sacramento. But then you got to also ask the question, are those organizations really serving the communities they serve? They're organizations, they're like 501c3s. And how much of their support actually goes to the individual people in those communities? You just got to ask yourself the question. I'm not judging, I'm just pointing it out. And then there's another story about a Spanish language newspaper called El Dia in Chicago, describing the dangers of forcing employee status on minority drivers. If companies are forced to operate under these arbitrary constricting rules, they would need to put drivers on shifts where demand is highest and lead to the same old story we've seen so many times, where neighborhoods will get better service at the expense of other neighborhoods, which is probably true too. That's why you just can't create and force companies to do what they're going to do. Create an open playing field and make it so that all the areas are counted. Because right now, if you want to go Uber and Lyft, as far as I know, my drives are going to go anywhere. There are no neighborhoods I have not touched or go to, unless the people can't afford to take the trip. But usually it's not a problem. There's that part to worry about. Now, another story I want to bring up here that I thought would be important would be how now Uber is going to have you now, instead of using the prompt they already had before about if you're wearing a mask on a ride, now they have a new prompt that we're given to buckle your seatbelt, even if you're in the back seat. So now they're going to have it where they're going to have chimes, much like you have in a car for somebody that doesn't put on their seatbelt, because normally the rear seatbelts, the rear seats don't usually have the chimes. Now they're going to have it on your phone or the driver's phone that's going to have that. So previously, Ubers would rely on signage to encourage passengers to secure their seatbelts. So now the driver's app is going to issue a series of beeps, while the rider's app will send push notifications to buckle up. And the app notifications are meant to serve as a workaround. So Uber's head of global road safety policy said, Kristen Smith, buckling was one of the most effective ways to help keep yourself and others in the vehicle safe in a crash. By leveraging technology to remind riders to buckle up, we hope to increase seatbelt use and potentially save lives. So keep that in mind. That's coming up soon. That we'll get that where you're going to start getting the seatbelt prompt. And then there's going to be a beep that the driver has to take care of to make sure that you got your seatbelt fastened. It's like we got to be hall monitors, like the flight attendants that also got to make sure you're wearing your mask on a plane. I don't care for that either. Other story we have is now Uber's going to let you see how many one-star ratings you got from drivers. You won't know who the drivers are, but you might get an idea. And you'll also see what 5-star ratings you get too. So Uber's going to allow customers to see how many 5-star ratings they receive from drivers, as well as how many 1-star reviews they've racked up. That's important. Some people don't realize that you're going to get a 1-star. And if you do, you don't want to worry about the fact that you have your ratings at such a low level and somebody hits you with that 1-star or says, we don't want to ride with you anymore. You don't want that capital right there of that score of having such a low rating like that. Now, customers will see a breakdown of their average ratings in the app's new privacy menu. So if you look right here on the screen, if you're watching on video, you'll see what you're able to go and see about your ratings, and you'll be able to see your trips, and then you'll be able to find more about your ratings, what the riders think about you, what they've done, and you'll be able to go and see that pretty extensively. And there's where you see right there, the data does not reflect your ratings in real time. So the rider ratings, you'll be able to see, okay, we get that as drivers. Like I can see that right there. My 5 stars, about 98%, 99% are 5 stars with a couple of little ones, 4 stars and down. I've had a couple of 1-star experiences, I'll admit. But my rating right now, 4.96. It's not shabby. I'll tell you what. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on the YouTube feed, I'll talk to you next time.